my name is Jameson and welcome to my channel. I got a request to talk about my weight loss journey, and that's something that I hadn't really thought of, but I think that's probably a good topic because I think a lot of people would be interested in that. I used to be a personal trainer and a fitness instructor, so I'm not exactly a stranger to that topic. Let's start back in high school, when I was in high school, which was probably 2005, 2000 to 2007, something like that. And this was probably about at least 5 years before I got sick. I played baseball, and at some point I started working out, and I really became sort of obsessed with working out, and I kind of stopped playing baseball and I just focused on working out. So I was building a lot of muscle, and it got to the point where I was working out every day for 2 or 3 hours at least. I think at my peak, at least at that time, I was probably 170, 175 pounds or something like that. And I was kind of bulking up, so I had, both muscle and fat going on. But I think at some point I kind of felt like I was getting too bulky, and so I wanted to slim down. I wanted to become more defined and kind of cut my weight a little bit, drop the fat, and try to keep as much muscle as I had or as I could. And so that meant doing a lot of cardio, still doing resistance and weight training, but doing a lot of cardio and sort of restricting my calories. I was getting really into nutrition and kind of meal planning and dieting and stuff like that. So by the time I was in college, like freshman, sophomore year of college, I had gotten certified as a personal trainer and I was teaching group fitness classes. And I had really kind of dialed in my diet. I'd even started doing some bodybuilding competitions. But looking back on it, the dieting and the exercise that I was doing was pretty unhealthy, actually. I got my weight down to, I don't know, probably below 160 pounds, which for my height is pretty low. I mean, I'm about 5'9", so I don't know the BMI off the top of my head, but that's a pretty low weight. And I was my body fat percentage was very low. It was less than 5%. So I had very little fat. I was eating a very restricted calorie diet, less than 1,800 calories a day, and I was working out sometimes 5 hours a day. I'd do 2 or 3 hours of weight training, and then I would do cardio for at least an hour. And then I was teaching other people how to exercise on top of that. So I was teaching the group fitness classes and doing one-on-one sessions, personal training. So it was a lot. But then I got sick, and I don't know whether any of that contributed to me getting sick, but it definitely didn't help. After I got sick, things changed a lot, as you can probably imagine. And not just from my health perspective, but my body composition changed a lot as well. I was no longer able to work out, so a lot of my muscle began to waste. And because of my illness, I was nauseous a lot, and I didn't really have much of an appetite. So my sort of calorie intake and my diet, for the most part, remained similar or the same as when I was dieting. So I was eating very restricted calories, and I was always into eating healthy. So I was eating healthy foods. So it's not like I was eating a lot of fast food or anything that would make me gain weight. So without exercise and with my restricted healthy diet, my weight basically continued to go down. I remember it was the first year or maybe the second year after I got sick. I went back to Martinez where I went to high school, and I saw a lot of my friends from high school, and one of them was like, "Dang, dude, how much weight have you lost?" And it's funny because when you're looking at yourself in the mirror every day and you're not really, at least I wasn't, paying close enough attention to that. It didn't really dawn on me that I had lost weight, but to him, I mean, he hadn't seen me in at least a year or two. And so to him, it was whoa, the last time he saw me, I was this big, bulky bodybuilder, weightlifter. And now wasn't working out at all. A lot of my muscle had wasted, and I was kind of just a skinny dude. So that was a very humbling and sort of sad moment for me, I guess, because it both symbolized that I was sick and that I had lost a lot of the hard work that I had put into sort of sculpting and building my body to this physique that I wanted. And to be honest, things kind of just got worse from there. A couple years later, my illness took a turn and it became even worse, and I became bedridden, and I lost my ability to chew food altogether. So I was on a entirely liquid diet. So all the food that I consumed had to be liquefied. So there's a lot of like smoothies and protein shakes, and sometimes we would, or my caregivers would liquefy meals like raviolis and eggs and stuff. They would basically just cook the meal and then put it in a blender, add some broth, and then just give it to me. And I would, they would hold the glass and I would drink the meal through a straw, basically. So we tried to up my calories as much as possible, but it's hard when you're drinking your meals through a straw. It's hard to get enough calories. And as much as we tried with, my sedentary, basically I was completely bedridden, and my low calorie diet, I lost a lot of weight. I became dangerously low in body weight. I was too sick to step on a scale. I couldn't even sit up in bed. So I'm kind of just guessing at what my weight was, but looking at like pictures and just judging like how I looked and felt back then, I would say that my body weight probably was like under 120 pounds, maybe like closer to 100, which is like really scary for somebody um, like 5'9". So that was really scary. But I was able to get through it by continuing to have the liquefied meals and get at least enough nutrition to survive. My health eventually began to improve, and I began to regain my ability to chew food again, which, as you might also be able to imagine, that was a welcome change. It was very refreshing, and it was just like this renewed experience of experiencing and enjoying foods that I hadn't experienced in at least a year or two. So like I was eating like whole pasta and avocado and fruit and all kinds of things. At first, it was generally soft food like those foods, but eventually I did kind of progress to harder to chew foods, although still not like I wasn't chewing toffee or like potato chips or something like that. So for a long time, I was kind of just sticking to chewing soft foods, but there are some relatively high calorie soft foods. And with that came an increase in body weight and probably some overeating, to be honest. I was really indulging in a lot of like snacks and kind of high calorie foods that I hadn't enjoyed for a long time. So I regained weight pretty quickly, and I still wasn't able to step onto a scale, but just like again, judging by photos, my weight ballooned. I could see my body filling out again, and I kind of got a pretty significant belly, and my face got pudgy again. And being coming from the background that I came from as a fitness instructor and bodybuilder, and kind of having always like been critical and analyzing my physique and body weight, it was very difficult for me to see that kind of that pudgy look and that kind of weight gain that I had taken on, but at the same time knowing how dangerously low my body weight had gotten, and having missed out on eating the foods that I loved for so long, I was kind of just like, whatever, like I'm just gonna indulge and I'm just gonna enjoy this food, because I don't know if there will be a time in the future where I am right back where I was, not being able to chew food and having to eat through or drink through a straw. So, not knowing the future, I just really wanted to savor and enjoy as much food as I could. But here's where things get interesting. As my health began to improve, I began to be able to stand up and walk again. And that really resulted in me stepping on a scale for the first time. So I was able to sort of see exactly how much weight I had gained. And I'm not exactly sure. I'll put up some screenshots and some video of that I have of at that time. So I sort of began to track my weight, and I believe at my peak, my weight was probably around 210 pounds. So coming from my bodybuilding days of like 160 pounds and my really sick days as at like 110, 120 pounds, I mean, that's like almost 100 pounds more than my lowest body weight, which my low body weight was not healthy. And my highest body weight, 210 pounds, was not healthy either. So ideally, I wanted to get back to somewhere in the middle, a healthy medium. I talked to some people at the time about it and kind of expressed like how how difficult it was and how I was struggling with all the weight gain that I had. And some people were saying that I had a bit of body dysmorphia, which I very well may have and may still have because of just the strict dieting and the bodybuilding that I did. But at the same time, I think it was accurate and true that 210 pounds was a pretty unhealthy body weight, at least for me. And I say that not to make anyone with that same body weight or body mass index feel like that's an unhealthy weight or to shame them in any way. For me, it was unhealthy mainly because as my health began to improve and I began to stand and walk again, I really felt the literal weight of that weight gain when I was trying to stand and walk. I would feel it in my joints and my muscles. And as I began to move around more, become more mobile and active, even just moving around in my scooter as I still do, because I still don't walk a whole lot. But, when I do stand or take a few steps, usually every day I try to at least do that. I was really feeling that weight gain in my muscles and joints, and it made the recovery process difficult for me. So, with that in mind, I really began to take a proactive approach in losing weight, getting my weight down. And I think the biggest challenge actually was trying to figure out the best way to do it because for a long time, I mean, months, if not a year or more, I had wanted to lose weight and I had sort of kind of dipped my toes in trying to lose weight, but I kind of was unsuccessful. One reason was because before the way that I usually lost weight was by exercising more. And because I'm sick and my energy is low and I can't use my body in the same way, I that really just wasn't an option. I couldn't work out. So I had to figure out a way to lose weight without working out essentially. And that really only left one option, to eat less. If you can't burn more calories, you have to take in fewer calories. So that meant that I had to restrict my calories and just eat probably different foods. I figured out that one reason that I was eating a lot of calories was I was snacking a lot. So I wasn't eating like huge meals or having a lot of meals, but I was snacking a lot. And I wasn't eating like super unhealthy like candy or anything. I was having like kind bars, but sometimes I would have like 4 or 5 kind bars a day or just like all these like little kind of healthy-ish snacks like Unreal bars and I'd have like granola bars and Simple Mills and I don't know just like other snack stuff like that and those calories really add up especially when you have a lot of them throughout the day. So I decided to cut that out or significantly reduce it. Right now I'm kind of letting myself have a little bit of snack. Sometimes I try to keep it to like one snack bar a day, like one kind bar a day. But initially, when I was at 210 pounds, I just cut out all snacking altogether, no snacks. And so then I would just have two decent sized meals a day, but that still kind of didn't create the weight loss that I wanted or I was hoping for. So I needed to do something else. And my mom had in the past had done Weight Watchers and she started doing Weight Watchers again around the same time I was trying to lose weight. And to be honest, whenever I had heard of Weight Watchers before, I kind of always roll my eyes or at least just not pay any attention to it, sort of apathetic, because it was just not the type of weight loss that I had used before. I was kind of, I guess, associated Weight Watchers with like kind of middle-aged or older people who were trying to lose weight, and just didn't really go with like the gym culture that I had been involved in like my early 20s. But here I am, kind of getting closer to middle age, and so I thought, well, maybe I'll give it a shot. Why not? Because I couldn't work out, and I think Weight Watchers. I don't know if they have like workout or fitness programs associated with it, but I think primarily they are focused on diet and nutrition. That's pretty much what I was looking for, or what I needed. This is not like an endorsement or a suggestion for people to try Weight Watchers. It's not like promoted or anything like that. I'm just talking about what I did and my own personal experience. Some people are like really into Weight Watchers, like they do it religiously and they follow it to a T. So they have like this point program. Like you get X amount of points like per day or per week or whatever. I didn't really do that. I didn't really do the points. I mean, I kind of like paid attention to how many points of food would be worth, and kind of just like rough roughly eyeballed it. Like I just basically tried to use many low point foods or no point foods as I could. The one weird thing that I found about Weight Watchers is like fruit. You can eat like as much fruit as you want. Like there's 0 points. So I was just like, how is that? How does that work? Like I could just literally eat like bananas all day because like there's a lot of sugar and fruit and calories. So I'm like, how does that work? But I don't know. I guess it just works for whatever reason. I mean, I guess they figure that people aren't going to eat so much fruit that it makes them gain weight. But I did find it interesting that fruit is 0 points. Like you can eat bananas or mangoes or whatever kind of fruit you want, as much as you want, basically. I was just like a little unsure about that, so I didn't go crazy on the fruit, and I still don't. But every once in a while, I'll have some fruit. But I think the main one that it really helped me with was cutting down carbs. I used to eat like a lot of tortillas and a lot of bread and bagels and stuff like that. And I'm gluten free, so all those things were like gluten free, but still they had a lot of carbs in them, especially like tortillas and breads and stuff. But they kind of come up with some nice substitutes. There's this bread that's made from chickpea flour, and I basically just like go crazy and eat as much of that as I want. I forget how many points it is. It might be 0, or it's pretty low if it's any points. So definitely a lot less than like regular bread or even gluten-free bread. And then also like cutting out rice and even quinoa. Like quinoa is pretty healthy, and I enjoy quinoa, but it is and it has some good protein in it, but it does have carbs as well. So I cut out quinoa and rice for the most part, and I do cauliflower rice instead. But that said, I still do sort of indulge in some stuff. I do have like a regular half. Well, I have half a bagel, like a gluten-free bagel, pretty much every day, along with the chickpea flour bread. So usually when I first wake up, my first meal, I'll have like egg salad on a regular gluten-free bagel or half of a bagel, and then like some veggies on the side. And then another thing that we do is jicama fries. So instead of like using potatoes or even like sweet potatoes, you do jicama. So that's a nice substitute. And honestly, if you cook them right and you season them, like they taste pretty close to regular fries. So then in the evening, usually I'll have chickpea bread and some fries. And we've been doing things like zucchini pasta, zucchini noodles. I eat a lot of like fish burgers, shrimp. I eat a lot of eggs, scrambled eggs, stuff like that. Oh, the other thing we do is it's like a egg muffin thing. So you use the chickpea flour in like a muffin type tin, and then you or like a kind of a small mason jar, and then you do like kind of like a scrambled egg, or like a almost like a frittata, or like a hard boiled egg. I don't know, kind of like a frittata, I guess, inside the chickpea flour. So and then you kind of top it off, and it's like the edges are this chickpea flour, and then you have the egg on inside, and then I think maybe some cheese too. So it's a nice like egg muffin type thing. So now I do allow myself to have like a snack, usually like a bar, a Kind bar, or an Unreal bar or something like that. Sometimes I'll have like a low sugar kombucha, or I'll have these sujas, which are like cold pressed juice, which just has like 20 calories. Another one that I drink has like 10 calories. It's only like 2 grams of sugar. I don't know how many points on Weight Watchers it is, but I think it's pretty low, and doesn't. I think it uses stevia, so not really a big calorie intake there. So yeah, for the most part, that's my diet and that's what I do, and it's been working pretty well. So from I think the peak was like last December, like December 2023. I was around 210 pounds, and so once I started doing the Weight Watchers and cutting out the snacks, the weight really steadily started to come down. And kind of by the beginning of 2024, I lost like 10, 20 pounds. And then I don't know like when I was at my lowest, but probably sometime summer, 20, summer of 2024. I think I was down to around 170 pounds. I was trying to get below 170 pounds, but I didn't quite get there. And right now I'm like a little bit up, like maybe around 174 or something like that. So for the most part, I've been kind of maintaining in the low 170s, which is about a 40-pound loss, which is kind of wild to me. But considering how much weight I had gained after I was bedridden and I began to eat again, it's definitely like feels good, and it's kind of a necessary thing in my eyes. I mean, if you think about it, like I gained from when I was at my sickest, not eating, I gained about 100 pounds when I started eating again. I mean, that's a lot of eating. So now to drop back down and cut that in half feels pretty good, and it feels like a good healthy place to be. You know, if you think about it, like there's the extreme low of like 110, 120 pounds, and then there's like the extreme high of 210. And then if you just kind of meet in the middle, that's, roughly about 160, 170, which is kind of my goal. So yeah, if you want to know more about my weight loss journey and my continued goal of maintaining a healthy weight, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Ask me any questions you want. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you next time.